Got a great connection here. Many of you said that the sound was not very good last time, so I'm using my special microphone, and I'd like to check in with you as soon as you come online as to whether you can hear me clearly. So let's just start with that. First of all, thank you, Lucy, for being here. My wonderful Lucy, always supportive, always there. April has also joined us today, so thank you, April, for being here. And yes, Nunan, it is very hot in Greece. We have about 45 degrees here, centigrade. So can you hear me? Sounds good. All right, we like that. Thank you. Loud and clear. So I felt it was important to do another video about what the astrology shows for the next few months coming up, as far as the financial situation is going, the economies, the banks, the corporations, the billionaires, the trillionaires, work, possessions, our earth, agriculture, building, construction, all these things come under the purview of Uranus in Taurus. Sorry, these are all Taurian things. So everything to do with Taurus is certainly money, your gifts, your talents, jewelry, art, your possessions, what you own, our planet, our Earth. And Uranus is going to be in Taurus until 2025, 26. So we've got quite a lot more time to learn how to adapt to all these turbulences happening on planet Earth, happening with nature, happening with our animals, and happening with our economies, how we exchange services, how we do business with one another, how we earn a living, how we view our possessions, and how we view our freedoms. Johannes, well done. You just bought a gram of gold. Love it. So I've been really meditating and looking at the various strands and how to pull this together. How can we work on this together? How can we play on this together so that we do not get involved in the paradigm of fear? There's not enough money, not enough resources, not enough this and that and the other. And how can we resonate together at the same time as being prepared? We've got to always remember that Saturn is going to square Uranus exactly on the 24th of December. And then next year, the nodes will go into Taurus and Scorpio, ruling money. So I'm anticipating that next year is going to be even more of a roller coaster when it comes to finances, money, possessions, ownership, all of this area that is bouncing up and down, if you like. Yeah, it's bouncing. So I'm doing this video to share with you some of the thoughts that I have based upon the study of the astrology, some messages from the Pleiadians, and giving you a heads up so that you can begin to prepare mentally, emotionally, physically for some of the myriad of possibilities that may present themselves. So the first thing I want to say is, do not look for permanence. Instead, look as to how you can live and even begin to enjoy impermanence. I'm reminded of relationships. Okay, you either chose, at least when I was younger, maybe it's not the same now, but you either chose a boyfriend or a partner who you felt could be very stable and permanent and maybe a little boring. Or you chose a partner who was very exciting and charming, but a little impermanent and a little not boring. And we're kind of dealing with how to balance these energies of not having to have things set in stone. But at the same time, what can we do to prepare? And what can we do so that we begin to see that we're on a journey of exploration into new possibilities? Work is going to change immensely. People doing things that they hate. I hope that there's nobody here listening who is doing things that you really hate. But if you're doing something you dislike, a job you dislike, I think all this is going. It's on its way out. And the question is, what do we want to replace it with? These are just questions. So we're looking at the disruption of the current, very corrupt, I realize that's my opinion here, but I feel that it's a valid one. The systems are corrupt. Banks are printing money out of fresh air. And they are devaluing, should we say, the powers that be, the governments, the Federal Reserve, the banks, are devaluing our resources that many of us have worked extremely hard to attain. So what can we do? Well, let me address the whole issue of holding cash. Brooke, thank you. Blessings to you too. Thank you. So the cash in your pocket is not buying. Pohala, thank you. I love that. Thank you. Expansion is essential. Discomfort is likely. That's great. But in discomfort sometimes is a sense of excitement. It's like, ooh, I don't quite know what's coming here. I mean, we never know what's coming. But if you can expect some discomfort, that gets you thinking more creatively. So I would say this is not a time to be very speculative. This is a time to look at your values and what is really important to you. If your house was burning down, what are the possessions that you would retrieve? What would you want to take with you? Other than, of course, your body being intact, your friends, your family, whoever you're living with. But what possessions, what are the things? If you had very little notice, what are the things that you'd want to take with you that would be important to you? You might want to make a list. You might even want to have a bag that you put together of a few things that are important to you, that if you needed to leave, and I'm not suggesting this is going to happen, but it may. And I don't know who said it, but better to be a year early than a day late. So this is not preparation out of fear. This is just looking at yourself now. What are your values? Uranus in Taurus is turning values upside down. It's turning the notion of ownership upside down. Patricia's had to move out of your house. You're doing that now. Buddha and your guitar. Lucy likes her jewelry. Brooke would run off with your cat and your crystals. It's very mobile and laptop, certainly. Yeah. So what are the things that are really precious to you, and why are they precious? And you might want to really evaluate that. Because we might not be able to carry, like pack horses, all the stuff that we've accumulated. It just might not be possible for various reasons. A, because psychically you might not want to have so much stuff. The more stuff you've got, the more you need insurances, you need policies, you need storages. Yeah, there are more responsibilities with more stuff. So if ever there was a really good time to give to charity, to give to homeless shelters, food banks, to the animals, the animal shelters. If you've got a little surplus, affirm your abundance, affirm that you can just give away. We don't have to hold on to as much as we think we need to hold on to. And I'm not suggesting that those of you that really are in difficulty, I'm not suggesting that, but I'm saying many of us have got extra things. So it's time to really go through your stuff. Yeah, Uranus in Taurus, shaking up your stuff, getting shaken up emotionally, and mainly Taurus is your physical, the physicality. And to say, do I really need that? Yeah, the things you own end up owning you. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, but we become slaves to our stuff. Absolutely, Patricia. What are you a slave to? What are you spending money and energy on that you don't even like, that you don't even enjoy? Taurus is about beauty, aesthetics. What gives you a sense of uplift? Yeah, so that when you wake up in the morning and you smile because you feel, oh, you know, I'm surrounded by something that I love. For me, I listen to the birds or I listen to the waves. And of course, that's free. And so many of the things are free. So there's a reevaluation to go on here that I think is very important and would be very liberating. Because Saturn in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus, it's about a liberation, liberating ourselves. What are you a slave to? A slave to a job? A slave to other people's expectations? A slave to your own expectations of what you think you should and could and couldn't do? And with all this fixed energy here, it's a time to really say, I can do it. I notice now that, you know, you get beyond a certain age and when you get on a bus or somewhere, people start standing up for you. And I think, what's this about? Yeah. And they start wanting to, you know, hold bags for you or whatever. And I'm like, no, I want to do it. Let me do it myself. Let me stretch my boundaries. As Richard Bach said, argue for your limitations. And sure enough, they're yours. So if you say you can't do it, you'll be right about that. So I keep trying to notice, when am I saying I can't? And I'm saying I can. So what's important to you? This is, people ask me all the time about crypto, food, water, matches. Great, thank you. You sleep with your teddy and a stuffed pig who just cuddles. Thank you, Lucy. The new president of the future is humanity and politics on consciousness and love. Thank you, Michael Cryan. Uplift, flowers, yeah? Uplift. So when you are feeling uplifted, you automatically uplift those around you. Can't be helped. It just happens. Cryptocurrencies, hot subject, and as I've said, many of you asked me. And of course, had you invested at the beginning of Bitcoin, you would now be a Bitcoin millionaire. To me, it's not to say that you can't make money from it, but what are you wanting to make money for? This is another question. Yeah, make money for a certain freedom, but over a certain amount, studies have shown, I think it's around $70,000, that over that, I'm not saying there aren't too many people that are living under that, but over a certain amount, and it's not really helping you necessarily. So we have tremendous inequalities going on. And I would say that with the cryptocurrency, if you can afford to be speculative and you can afford to know that it's going to be very turbulent, ups and downs, it's been up to 65,000, it dropped to half of that, it's gone up a bit. Yeah, it's going to be turbulent. So from my perspective, I like to sleep at night. So I would still suggest, and I know I've been going on and on and on about it, yes, Bitcoin and Ethereum would be the best probably of the two right now. But I would say that it's interesting that Bitcoin was started on the 3rd of January 2009. Just after Pluto went into Capricorn, right at the beginning of Pluto in Capricorn. Thank you, Brittany, I appreciate that. So now we're coming towards the end of Pluto in Capricorn and the United States Pluto return from February of next year. So it's almost like it's coming into a full circle. By the beginning of next year, I think we'll see much more as to how these cryptocurrencies are going to continue and whether there will be a lot more regulation around them. It turns out that the privacy around them is maybe not quite as secure as was originally intended. They consume a huge amount of electricity, apparently as much electricity as a country like Norway or the Ukraine. Studies are showing. So I would have to ask, what is it backing? So I would go carefully with this. Taurus is very much about being very practical. Now, gold, I know I've mentioned gold. If you can buy a gram of gold, get a gram of gold. If you can't afford gold, then get some silver, get a few ounces of silver. Physical, the physical stuff, the stuff that you can hold in your hand. Get something physical. Uranus, Taurus, physical. So I would say that there are many uncertainties now. Gillian, that's a good question. Yeah, crypto scares me too, I'll be honest. I buy. And it's not to say that there aren't those that will make money from it. So I'm being asked, where do you store your gold and silver? Well, if you've only got a small amount, then, it's very easy to store somewhere. Otherwise, I would not put it in a bank safety deposit because that can be seized by the bank for all kinds of reasons. Now they've got all kinds of possibilities like terrorist reasons. I'm sure they'll find some COVID reasons at some point. So you want to have it somewhere stored. with a place that is outside of the banking system. And there are places like that. Yep, gold is the real money. And gold has other very powerful alchemical properties. Yes, plus it's very beautiful. Yeah, and silver is used in many, many processes. So, and central banks are still buying gold and silver. And one would have to ask oneself, why do they keep doing that if there wasn't a reason for it? So, with real estate, I think there are many bubbles right now. Unless you can pay for something outright and easily, I'd say that markets are going to change in a dime. We're going to have more earth changes, more protests, more riots, more uprisings, more earth events are coming. Uranus in Taurus is shaking it up so that something new can come. Again, don't see this as something to be frightened about it. Say to yourself, right, how can I become more resilient? How can I develop resilience? So the first resilience is not to live out of fear. How can you not live out of fear? Well, you do as much as you can on the physical level to prepare. So if you can, get some dried foods, some rice, some pasta, quinoa, whatever it is that you eat, maybe some canned goods. And any dried things like toilet rolls. Any medications, make sure those are up to date. Any eyeglasses, get a spare pair or two. Make sure you've got some warm winter clothing. Make sure you've got some first aid kits, some torches, a backup source of power. I know many of you know this, but it bears repeating at this time because there are going to be so many uncertainties and sudden changes. So if you can be prepared, then you can help others. That's a nice thing. You can be the port in the storm. And get to know your neighbors, absolutely. So I would say, think about what's important to you. Stock up with whatever things are important to you. Supplements, vitamins, certainly have a store of vitamin C and D. I'm speaking like an American, vitamins C and D. And maybe some zinc and maybe some magnesium and different ones. You might also want to stock up on some powdery power type of things like your spirulina and your barley grass and those kinds of things, which you can get some energy from just by adding some water. And they're easy to store. They don't take up a lot of space. Just those kind of things. And we're going to see a huge shift in ownership, shared ownership, smaller, easier houses to construct, easier ways to be able to move around. Because I do think in many ways, although we've had our wings clipped that we can't necessarily fly, although some of that is opening up now, I think that's coming in waves. We'll be able to travel, then we won't for a while. So see what you can build up in your local community. Talk to people. Say hello, smile. Because many people are withdrawing, yeah? There's a withdrawal going on. Bring them out a little. That's what I do. Whenever I go anywhere, I'm always talking to the people. It's lovely. And some of them look awfully glum. Yes? And anyway, I'll just still say, Kalispera, Tikanate, how are you? Is it Kala, Ola Kala? Everything all right? something. Make a connection, make a contact. Let those who might feel very alone know that they're not necessarily alone. So just know that financially, the last time that Uranus was in Taurus was between 1934 and 42. So this was the Great Depression, the beginning of World War II. And at that time too, there were many experimentations going on. So we're going to see experimentations with digital currencies. And unless you've really got nerves of steel, I'd probably stick to the gold and the silver, stocking up on what you need, and preparing yourself emotionally, psychically, to be able to be as calm as you can and know that these changes are for our highest good. Nature is pushing us to work together, to come together in communities, working horizontally rather than being told what to do vertically all the time. Because the pot's boiling. The pot is not simmering anymore. It's at boiling point. And I'm just reminded of this quote. So for those of you thinking about stocks, shares, cryptos, all of these things, futures, Warren Buffett's very sound advice. Only buy something that you would be perfectly happy to hold if the market shuts down for 10 years. Really take that in, guys, okay? I really mean this, because it may be that if and when this crash comes, or several crashes, it's a little bit like a pack of cards. One falls, then several are going to go together. If you like, they're sort of propping each other up at the moment, like one of those games, you know, you pull that last stick out and it all tumbles. And it's that precarious right now. And it's a good thing, because it's going to force many of us to make friends with our neighbors, to create communities. Absolutely, savvy bites, you're right. Bitcoin's gone up 200,000% since its inception, and gold 200%. Absolutely. I'm not saying no, but so did tulips go up 200,000 or so percent at the time of the tulip mania in Holland, in Europe. And people lost everything. They lost their shirts. So I'm not saying that a digital currency is not coming. It probably is. But question yourself as to why you're investing in something and what you hope from it. And is it worth being very speculative? And what for? Had a client recently, he turned $10,000 into over $200,000 by speculative investments in futures and options. And then he lost it all in the space of a month or two. So it can evaporate that quickly. Gold will not. Silver will not. Oh, yes, there may be some things that we have to navigate around. But it's about freeing yourself of this need to hold on. And to know, what do I need to release now? What do I need to stop doing? Yeah, what do I need to stop doing? Diana Diamond, yep, Jupiter-Neptune conjunction may well increase the gold price. I do think that a big shift comes around the beginning of January of next year is a big time. The nodes go into Taurus and Scorpio, so that is very much justice coming to do with money and finance. And Uranus will go direct on the 19th of January of next year. So I think that's a big shift time. So play things safe, give to charity, give to people who need. If ever there's a way of really reaffirming your abundance, even if you can't give much, give a little, give some time, give to the animals shelters, whatever is, touches your heart. You'll find all of a sudden you'll have more. The more you give, the more you get to give. Yeah. Yeah, Julia, yeah, I think Ethereum may well go, all these things may well go and do very well. But again, what are we speculating on? Everything is based on this energy of betting. It's like a great big casino going on. Red or black, odd or even. I think we've got to realize that that is a part of our reality at the moment. And it's going because our values, our human values, have to change. How many pairs of shoes can you wear? That's not to say that you shouldn't have loads of shoes if that's your fetish. But just know that you've got to have storage, you've got to clean it. Yeah. So this greed energy, this more energy, the ego never being satisfied. Yeah. All this is what's coming up. So if you like, we're dealing on the physical level. I've given you my tips of the things that I would do around the physical level. I think that this is a very spiritual time. We can read this on many different levels. And I would suggest that you begin to think, because Taurus is your qualities. What are the qualities that you want to begin to develop? What are the gifts you've got that you want to develop? For example, and what do you want to plant in your garden? Taurus is very much your garden. So what are you planting? And yes, Sarah, issues in England around deliveries and shelves getting empty. It's coming. Most likely it will come. So whilst there is no panic, I'm not suggesting to go and buy everything off the shelves. I'm just saying incrementally, gently, buy the things that you need and the things that you'll be able to use. So that if you can't get out for a while, or you don't want to go out for a while, then you won't have to. It takes and the qualities that I would like to develop are calmness, humor, and gratitude. These are my three. These are the seeds I am planting in my garden. I want to be able to be that calm person that brings calmness and no more panic. I've had a lifetime of panic attacks. I want to bring humor into situations, because you bring a bit of humor, then, everybody works a little easier. And gratitude, well, what are your three things? What are your three things? Qualities, please share, that you want to plant in your garden. What are they? What are the seeds you're planting? Yeah, some of you will have tools and skills in being self-sufficient. Yeah. So what are you planting? Creativity, freedom, and love. Thank you. Yep. No more panic attacks. Yeah, we've been driven into a frenzy. Yeah, no more frenzy. Let's be calm. It's so, when somebody's calm and they come to you, That frequency is infectious. Here we go. Loving environment, wisdom and care. Thank you, Heidi. Yeah, Jerry's getting the wood stove for winter. Joy to others. Creativity, compassion, resilience, gratitude, unity, love, joy, community, peace, integrity, and things. Great. So which are yours, yeah? And you might want to just focus on one or two, three, I would say is probably the most, and really think about these. Many times, you know, am I coming out of a state of calmness? I ask myself now, if I'm going to speak to this person or this friend or this conversation, does this come from a place of calmness? Am I going to be able to be maybe humorous as well? Certainly my 99-year-old auntie, dear Auntie Jenny, bless her heart, she said, I paid my gardener £3 to water the garden. And she said the next day, God did it for free. And she said, you know, I'm going to tell him, because that was, you know, she's got a tiny handkerchief-sized garden. He really shouldn't have charged her. But, you know, she said, and I'm going to tell him, I paid you £3, Mark, for watering my garden. And God did it for free the next day. And she said the next 3 days, actually. So see if, and playfulness, that's a nice quality as well, Philomena. Presence, there's a great quality, you see. So as you begin to set your intention to develop these qualities, you resonate on a new frequency. And I was listening to Martha Beck recently. She's somebody I'd like to interview at some point. We'll see. And she was saying that if two guitars are in the same room and you pluck a G string on one of the guitars, the G on the other guitar will resonate. It's all energy. I imagine that's why people who were in the presence of Jesus were healed, because he emanated that energy of love and healing. So what energy are you emanating? What are you planting? And as we set intentions here, we can really choose the kinds of gardens that we're planting. If you sow the seeds of negativity, the seeds of complaining, grignazi, paraponiete in Greek, or you sow the seeds of kindness. What are you choosing? And you'll know by the way you feel. You'll know. So be ready to keep stretching yourself. Yeah, these fixed signs give you an opportunity right now to become more resilient. And I try every day to do something that just pushes that envelope. Today, I swam a lot further than I usually do. Yeah, I went quite far. And when I got out that far, I was a little bit scared. It was like, oh, I'm really far out. The people, and they looked like little dots. I was that far out, the other people in. But intention of being calm, let's be peaceful. And just gradually, I made my way back and it was fine. But it was a stretch. And it felt good. So where can you stretch? What do you know? There you go. Julia said 2020 didn't kill you. It made you stronger. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Getting used to living with uncertainty. Yes. And as Francis Bacon said, money is like muck, not good unless it be spread. So spread it. You'll be amazed each time you spread a little of your wealth in one way or another. I swim in the mornings with these older ladies in their 80s, 70s, 80s, or probably similar age to me. And one of them, she caught this fish, so I brought her a little bucket to put it in. And the next day, she brought me like 10 kilos of vegetables. You know, it's like 22 pounds of veggies from her garden. Dear Aspasia, you know, and it was heavy for her to carry, you know. She walks with a stick, this one. But just that generosity. And knowing that it all comes around, it comes around. What goes around comes around. So, the Taurus energy is shaking you up. Because I know I have clients who come to me at the moment who say, you know, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know what my work is. I'd like to finish by quoting something from Maya Angelou, who says this: you can only become truly accomplished at something that you really love. Don't make money your goal. Instead, pursue the things you love doing, and then do them so well that people can't take their eyes off you. So resolve to do that. You have something special, something unique. Develop it. Stretch it. I'm constantly renewing, doing new paintings, doing new music. I'll play you a little recorder, maybe. I don't know if it's appropriate to play it on a musical, on a money video. But together, with these new intentions, and maybe working through some of the things that I've shared today, will help us to raise this frequency so that we can begin to align ourselves with what Mother Nature and the higher force is wanting for us. So I want to thank Lucy. Thank you, thank you. I want to thank April. Thank you for your help today. I'd like to thank you for liking the video, for subbing, for those of you that would like haven't subscribed yet, and also press the bell icon so you can be notified as to when I'm going live. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, for those who've given here on the live chat. And just thank you for your willingness to learn, to grow, to adapt, and to share. Much, much love to you. Much love. Sending you great abundance